Cool. Welcome everyone. Thanks for taking the time to join us for our meetup focusing on community demos. Yeah, so the session is being recorded. We're also just going to be taking notes, just so that everyone who's not able to attend, they're always able to view these meetups at a later stage. So yeah, ask questions, interact. Stop us, just butt in, do whatever it is that you want to do. This is for you guys. So yeah, ask away and feel comfortable. Oops, went too far. Okay, cool. So this is the third meetup of Q1 for 2023. And yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun tonight, mainly focusing on demos. Everyone loves demos. Gives us a great chance to see things going wrong, but also see things going extremely well. Cool. So just a quick brief on myself. I'm Dom. I'm part of the core community team, and I'm also a community builder as well. So I'm busy building a bunch of different apps to showcase the Programmable Banking API and its functionality. And yeah, I'm always here to assist, especially to the new members that have joined us for the first time. If you guys need anything, don't be shy to reach out. We're always here to help. Cool. So the agenda for today, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be fun. Like I said, we have demos, and all the developers in the room know that either demos are fantastic or something will break and something will go wrong, but don't worry. I've got some awkward elevator music to play while we're waiting for the things to get fixed. Okay, cool. So just a quick run through of the agenda. We've got Nick that will be demoing his finance dashboard. If you guys have seen on the Slack, he's posted a few screenshots, so head over to Slack and check it out as well. Then after that, we've got VT. He's doing the hyper categorization, simply because 22.7 is just not good enough and it sucks. Then we got Reynard, who's showing us the maintaining your balance, which is quite cool. He's posted on the community Slack about his outcomes and things like that, so that's going to be interesting. We've got Shan, who will be chatting to us about what we're busy building, as well as the latest mission around the developer experience. And then Nick will be chatting to us about some community stuff, which will be awesome. Okay, cool. And over to Nick. Nick, the floor is yours.
Righto. I'll share my screen in a bit. I just want to intro the project a little bit. Hey, I'm Nick. I do PHP stuff, Laravel these days, working in fintech. And yeah, I joined all this to see what I could build. And the first thing that I wanted to do was try and automate my budgeting, or at least the tracking of transactions, which is most of my budgeting anyway. So I built this little dashboard. It was like a hodgepodge experiment of trying to use new technologies, trying to experiment with the InvestTech stuff, and then turning my little knowledge base, my text-based knowledge base accounting system into code. So yeah, everything's a bit simplified. Tech stack is Laravel, using Filament admin for the admin panel, so I have UI ready to go. Octane just to try out the new runner, see how fast it can go, things like that, and a few other tools that have been recently released in the community. So let me share. Yes. Okay. Entire screen. All right. Should be sharing now. Is it?
No. Not yet.
No, not on my side. Maybe I should stop sharing so you can take over me.
Yeah. One sec. Allow. I think Zoom's having some trouble on Linux. Let me do it again.
Probably permission issue.
Yeah, I gave it the permission and now it's kind of not looking fun. Yeah, I prayed to the demigods for my code. I know that works. But if I can't actually show you, then what's the point, eh? And now the share button is doing nothing. Okay, let me rejoin the call.
To your slide.
Yeah, curse the demigods. The issue is apparently my Linux install uses Wayland when screen share is broken in Wayland, which I only learned now. Well, so anyway, fun times.
That's cool.
So yeah, I built a basic finance dashboard. The screenshot, the main screenshot is in the channel. I'll post some more. It's super duper simple. I made a little SQLite database with some form of a transaction for my definition of transaction. And I have a daily schedule that runs, that pulls from the Investec API. That'll do the usual get accounts call. If it finds any accounts that are in the response but not in my database, it'll create new accounts for those. And then it'll pull at least the latest day's transactions. And there's some extra code there that will then also attach it to budgets, any monthly budgets that are potentially relevant there. It's a super simple, it checks if the description matches an identifier that I've stored, basically. So yeah, it's basically automating away my plain text system. I've even written a markdown export so I can at the end of the month just take all the data out and put it back into my old format as well. I also wanted to speak about alternative approaches with other banks because I don't know about everyone else here, but I don't only use Investec. I've got a home loan with ABSA. I've got a car finance with Standard Bank, things like that. And you can't always track all these things. So I put some thought to this yesterday to see if I could bring things up to par. And there's two main things that I found. Well, one I already wrote into my dashboard, but the other one I found. The first is if you're a Bank Zero customer, when they send you a monthly transaction, so mainly monthly statement, they'll send you a PDF and an Excel file. So you can write an Excel import because it contains all the transactions there. So you at least have a monthly sync with Bank Zero. So that's useful. And then the second thing I was reminded of was an old college classmate of mine used this app called Automate. I don't know if anyone's heard of it. I know it's at least available on Android.
Yeah.
If you Google Llama Lab Automate. So what you can do with that is make all sorts of like low code flows with very broad permissions on your phone. And I know I believe you can intercept push notifications or see push notifications received, and you can do SMSs received. So that at least covers, I believe, ABSA and then any other bank that gives the data by push notification, which again, Bank Zero is another example here. So my plan with this is I've got the Automate flow set up on my phone, and I'm going to use it for my ABSA transactions. That way, similar to the card events with Investec, I have a live transaction list from other banks as well. And yeah, that's really the gist of it. Sorry, I only found out this screen sharing thing at the last minute, but yeah, can't be a meetup if somebody's thing doesn't go wrong.
You're forgiven. I think it would be cool if you could give us like a small little screen recording and post it in the community channel as well, like something very small. Just give everyone some nice insight.
Yeah, I'll have a go. Yeah.
Nick, I'm interested to know what was your sort of like biggest challenge that you faced when you decided to build this app?
I mean, aside from finding the time for a personal project, the Investing API itself is pretty simple and straightforward. Like I have no complaints about it. The one thing I noticed was the programmable banking on the card side had slightly different data, I believe, than the actual API list of transactions. So I decided to only go with the API instead of trying to mingle with both. Yeah, like in terms of the actual financial logic and any other parts of the code like that was the main thing really that stood out to me. The rest of it was kind of straightforward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. Anyone else got any other questions? Yeah, Reynard.
I'm very curious, how are you getting data feeds for the other banks not using Automate? Because I am not an Android user. I'm very keen.
I have no idea for non-Android.
Okay.
Yeah, I know of other ways. Like I know you could theoretically do PDF parsing. You could theoretically, but that's against terms of service. Don't quote me. Do web scraping. You could do things like that.
Yeah, I actually have code. I think maybe I'll brush it up and open source it. I really struggle with open sourcing my work for multiple reasons. But I before I moved fully to Investec, I had an interest on keeping an eye on my transactions, and I wrote like quite an extensive parser for their PDFs, like, and they're very different, like the business versus like the credit card. It's very different to the other accounts that they had. But there was like I think there was a number like at the bottom that would allow you to identify the different type of statement. And I'll look for that code and put it somewhere, because my idea for that was I'd said for them to email me my statements, and then Zapier would pick that up, that it's a statement from like F&B. Then that would trigger a Lambda function to actually do the parsing of that statement and put that data in DynamoDB. But then I got access to the Investec API, just moved everything here. So
yeah, it's just a lot easier to do that. So yeah, that's I do similar stuff at my day job, but obviously that's business knowledge. But yeah, those are two things you can try.
I wonder if you could use for iOS, if you could use Scriptable, which is you can just dump your scripts in there to pick up if a specific app has launched a push notification and grab that data.
Yeah, at the most basic, you either intercept an SMS or a push, and you need to be able to make an HTTP request. Those two things.
Yeah.
To obviously send to your own API or whatever you want to do.
Sorry to interrupt, but I've also got another idea. It's a bit of manual work, but if you can download, I think most banks support OFX files downloads. So if you can write an OFX parser that would essentially, you download it, you drop it on a Google Drive, or you drop it in an S3 buckets, you have a Lambda that triggers on new file coming in, processes OFX, checks for duplicates, updates where new, and goes from there. I know Investec does offer OFX. I know two of the other big banks also offer it. I'm trying not to say other names.
I had a tool like that back with Standard Bank Data, and then they just stopped supporting that file format. Then it became useless, which, by the way, is what triggered the interest in Root, which eventually became Investec Programmable Banking. So
yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know about everywhere else, but like the biggest barrier to moving things over in the end, especially if you have other finance things, is just the cost of moving things. Like you're gonna pay for another bond registration? No. You're gonna pay refinancing the car? Nah.
Maybe Investec should form with the other banks into open APIs. I know Discovery Bank has given like a very private API to 22/7. I wonder if we could ask to get some eyes into that.
Yeah, we're pursuing it readily at Finch where I work to try and get these things, and that's why we're excited about the Investec side, because that's the first real one we can play with.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's really
that's
cool.
me.
Cool. Thanks so much, Nick. Yeah, the demo wasn't with you today, but don't worry. I'm sure in the next meetup you'll ace it for us, so don't stress. Okay, cool. Over to VT.
Thanks.
VT,
I
I do
wow.
got your own slides, so I think you can share.
Yes, but I just realized now I have to drop off and come back on. Zoom doesn't have permissions. Sorry.
No stress at all. We'll wait. We'll give you a little time. We'll give you a little time. Yeah, cool. Does anyone else have anything while VT is busy joining and rejoining? Does anyone else have any other questions or something that they want to share, discuss?
My question would be, did anyone else use Root when it was the original Root bank?
I applied, but never got in.
Yeah, I did very, very briefly. Wasn't long standing, but it was like very brief.
Cool. Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah, look, just a bit of background on me. Like I said, I'm Mutlari Rikoto, but everyone calls me VT. My day job, I'm a principal consultant, which is just UK fancy speak for very, very senior engineer at a consultancy called Demon Solutions. My demo today is about this. I don't know about hyper categorization, Nick, but it's a categorization, classification. It's a term I've been struggling with for the past, how long ago was 2016? Many years, right?
Years.
So I'm a bit OCD, and I've always hated the fact that like it's very difficult to stay on top of your transactions. And I've always wanted to know exactly how much I'm spending on petrol, for example. I always wanted to know if I'm spending too much money on takeaways, because I think there was a very close relationship between my weight gain or weight loss and how much I drive to fast food restaurants. And I've never believed in budgets, because budgets say you can't do something, but what I do believe in a lot is retrospectives. So I've always wanted to build a tool or an app that allows me to do a retrospective on my finances, because I found that for me, at least, that's better for changing behavior. And it was actually evidenced by the last couple of weeks, but the screenshots won't show that. Cool. So what am I doing? What I've been trying to do, like I said, from 2016, but more actively from 2020, is enrich my financial transactions with information related to their purpose, number one, and the relevant counterparty. So I have very complex use cases. I'd like to get an idea of which transactions going off my card are actually made by my wife, as opposed to me. I'd like to get an understanding of what the ratio of my savings, because it's very variable. I've changed jobs quite a bit lately, and since the job I had in 2020, I don't actually really know how much I spend on a monthly basis and how that relates to my salary for multiple reasons. So, like I said, would be providing additional information as well as insights into transactions. The tech stack is a bit more complicated than that. First of all, this is like version 7, probably attempt 7 at this. The latest version of that is written in Golang, exploring the data in GraphQL, and you'll see why shortly. This is running inside a Lambda, in a single Lambda on AWS. So the entire API sits in a Lambda. When I'm not calling it, nothing happens, and then I'm not making anywhere near 1 million invocations. So it's still very free for me. Cool, please, next slide. The other part of the tech stack is that I have written an iOS app, which I install on my phone every couple of days. This is written in Swift. using Swift UI. So I've cut this two parts in two parts. Number one is what I call the easy part, which is I wanted to get a very basic idea. And that is a scary number. Like opening the app and seeing that I've spent almost 90,000 rands in the last 7 days is scary, but it is, like I said, one of those reasons where there is something specific that was happening. So the one on the 26th, that big one jump there, I was paying for flight tickets for me and a friend. So it's nothing really scary. The one on the 24th was actually equal amount. I was paying money into my car because I've recently moved my vehicle to Investec, and I've been trying to pay it up. So that's not very scary. And 25th is just like, that's when I pay most of my bills, like house bills and all of that. But this kind of visualization gives me that idea, because I've also noticed a very weird trend, like for what my transactions have been like for the last 12 months. If you look at this month last year, like that difference is huge. I'd like to get a deeper idea into what, like, you know, where was most of the money being spent now? Of course, I think that will be this month, a lot of it will be, or I'm, you know, planning a trip. So I've been paying for flight tickets, accommodation, all of those things. I've also been aggressively trying to pay up a lot of debt, which are things that sort of like moving money from here to another account. But to get to the finer grain of it, of trying to understand exactly where that money is going, that's where we move to the hard parts, right? Where we just want to basically get better annotations of your transactions. The very simplistic idea at the base level is I would like to have a transaction like Woolworths, Mollet Red, Centurion. By the way, this is the transaction that appears the most because I've stayed near Woolworths and Centurion, near Mall of Red for the last 6 years. And I've realized that I spend more money at Woolworths than anywhere else for multiple reasons. What I'd like to do is be able to get that, because it's kind of like the only context we can have on a transaction, and be able to extract like the merchant as well as some categories. So as it was mentioned earlier, I was a consumer of 22/7, but it was a bit too rigid for my liking in terms of like giving me an understanding of the transaction. So I want more fine-grained categories and a bit more precise as well. And so that's what the mission I've been on. Next slide, please. Cool. Challenges encountered. If you look back far enough, you will see a video of me on Loom using ChatGPT-3 to train transactions and all of that. And I think this is a textbook machine learning problem. The problem is that you need a lot of data for it to be useful.
When I was a kid. Sorry.
Because the ideal state that you want to be in is be able to process a new transaction that has never been seen before on your account and be able to find a suitable category for it. But for you, in order to do that, for you to do that, you need a lot of data. So that takes us back. And like I said, this is like attempt number 7 and takes us back to the joys of rule-based systems. The challenges with this is that it relies on building rules based on the transaction description. Mainly, you don't really get a lot of chances. The other one is that transaction descriptions written by the providers vary wildly. I've attempted all sorts of things like give me all transactions that come from that are processed by Yoko, and you'd assume there's some sort of consistency that will allow you to extract like the location as well as the merchant, but it's not. Like, so there's one where the location, merchant, and the country, everything is like all bundled together as like one big string. Some it's formatted correctly and whatnot, so it actually called for something way more primitive. And now that's where I'll demo what I've done. Share my screen. I hope everyone can see that. I really hate that in 2023, Zoom still doesn't allow you to preview what you're sharing, which is not fun.
I got it on my side, so I think we're good.
Cool. Yeah. So yeah, the part that I showed that was easy was I always got overwhelmed by looking at my transaction list, regardless of the bank. And I was very excited about getting access to InvestX data, but again, really it's just now a way more primitive transaction list, because you get all these transactions and you don't really know how to make sense of it. And that overwhelmed me for a very long time, until I realized that maybe it's better for me to just interact with the data in a different way. So what I've done is I've built a proxy. It's an API, so I interface with GraphQL, and it does all the hard work in terms of like getting the data from Investec. That has allowed me to do some really, really fancy stuff. If you look at the screenshots that I shared with the graphs on like last 7 days, last 30 days, all I'm doing is I am getting my accounts from Investec, but now I've added this thing that doesn't exist on the API, which is grouped transactions to date. So the date would be up until this date. In most cases, it will be today. And then what it's going to do is that in the proxy itself, it's going to work out what was 7 days, what was the date 7 days ago, what was the date 30 days ago, and what was the date 12 months ago. And from there, it's going to go and make 3 separate calls to Investec, which I think is a very nice point to share limitation that I had. So this was very primitive initially. So every call would actually go and make an auth call to Investec so that it could go and get the transactions, but you get throttled very, very quickly. So the choice of language in terms of Golang, I'm not sure how familiar you guys are, but with that, but what it does is that this share context, because this will be a single context at entry, and then there will be basically multiple Go routines, so different threads spinning off to go get accounts, and when those resolve, for each account is going to make separate calls to get transactions. So what I did is I basically in the context, I'll go and make the auth call, and then I actually cache it in Redis as a Go binary, so it's not readable text. So even if it was intercepted, no one would be able to make sense of it. And then I cache that for about 25 minutes, which is lower than the Investec time limit, so I can reuse that. So here for me, it comes back as like a single result. If you look at it here, you'll see I've also found it's a nice way to preserve privacy when we are sharing in meetups like this, because GraphQL allows me to choose which fields I want to return here. So of course I'd return things like amounts, but if we look at like the private bank account, you'll see that like you get Woolies debit and all of that. So it's just a different way of me exploring the Investec data. Excuse me. Cool. So that led me to what I actually wanted to do to solve the problem. Again, I realized that I can have even way more better explorations in terms of that data. So if you look at this is from the 20th to date. What you'll see here is what I've been trying to do. So you get like Baby City, which is another place where I'm spending a lot of money because I have a 1-year-old. And then that comes back, for example, here as shopping. And then clicks is coming back as other, because again, I'm exploring those ideas in terms of where to put things where they make sense, that the category is not way too generic. You'd have things like this would be coming back as travel. But because, again, of this exploration, for example, I can now go and add, like filter my transactions by a specific keyword to say, okay, demo gods are complaining. I have no idea. I've never seen that error in my life, I swear. Okay, I don't know what happened. You just have to believe me. You saw the categories that I'm getting there. But what I want to spend a bit of time on is this. It's not an architecture diagram. I'm a very visual person. This is just a a very crude way of me visualizing what I'm trying to do. So what I have here is me, or the app, and I've created the API, which is actually hosted under, so it's API at vtcodes.dev, which is, I call the API to my life. So I have APIs to all sorts of things like programmable banking. So for this specific part, what I have is this magic box. I've really been trying to figure out how this works. What I've learned is that if you take your Investec transactions and you plunk them into GPT-4, which I've also got access to, and you ask it who the merchant is, it will do a very good job of telling you, of extracting the merchant from the description. But when you further ask ChatGPT to reverse engineer its reasoning so that you could do this without an internet connection, it struggles a lot. So, but it has given me quite a few ideas in terms of how this works. So what I've done now, what I realized, number one, is that I don't really care much for like salary and like input, like income that's coming in. That's not where, you know, money coming in is always good. So don't really need to look at gift horse in the mouth and ask why. I'm happy that it's just coming in. But so if the transaction type is credit, I just mark it as income and exit. That's it. But I'm using the description a lot for this part. So this magic box takes in the transactions as input, and then it takes like a rule set. So I've tried to define, like I've went again through multiple iterations of what a rule is. This very crude way now, which is like step one for me to get to the nirvana that would be like a very nice machine learning model that can categorize South African transaction data. This, I think, is an important first step, which is the idea of a merchant, right? Because I don't think there's much wrong in keeping a good database of the merchants that are available. I think the banks do it, and it would be nice to have that access to that kind of data. And that would ultimately allow us to agree on things like what the category for a specific merchant is, because the merchant can belong to one category. But right now, because again, all we have is a transaction description, I had to make sure that there's a keyword that's associated to a merchant. Well, multiple keywords, because, for example, where Woolworths always has the full name on there, but Virgin Active has Virgin Act, and then that is like attached to like a whole lot of other words. But then you have like BP, right? So you could easily run into issues where a keyword matches in a transaction, but doesn't really belong to that merchant, and that's where rules come in. So a merchant will also maintain a set of rules of saying that if it's Woolworths, normally it will also like be followed by the following, like a location or something like that. In that, so just to like eliminate a lot of false positives. The idea behind trying to model this as well is the fact that I didn't want this to be hard coded in the code base. So what I'll be working on when I get free time now will be to move this to a database and build a whole different tool that will allow me to basically build these rules together like Lego, and then have my my live API basically ingest that and try to categorize my transactions. And hopefully, if that works, that's something that I can move into the community to be maintained, because I think there's a lot of value in us being able to classify our transactions. And that's me. Any questions?
I don't have a question, VT, but whoa, that's cool.
It's not as cool as it sounds. It's hard. It's yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah, I don't have a question either, but I just wanted to comment. I've come across the exact same problem with, you'd imagine this is great for machine learning, but this description field is way too tiny. Like you just cannot do it. And rules-based systems are unfortunately the only real solution right now. But I like the use of ChatGPT for it.
Yeah, look, I think it was very good in terms of like exploration of the ideas, because I think it quickly invalidates a lot of your of the ideas that you have, because if you, for example, pass it a few descriptions and then you say to it, like, can you extract the country out of this? And then like it's easy, ZA, which is usually at the end. So you can say, okay, if a transaction ends with ZA, then I know that it's happening in South Africa. But then you also start to notice things like, okay, fine, I could potentially extract the major cities, which are what appear the most. So you'll find places like Centurion, Sandton, and Johannesburg and Cape Town. So it's like, I think if it becomes something that's maintained by a community, we would easily get to a good enough place very quickly.
To interject there, Google Maps might be the solution to get some information. The bigger problem and another source of information would be our SMS codes. Unfortunately, we get these bulk providers that don't have labels. So in other countries, you would have like Virgin Mobile would send you an SMS saying that you've bought airtime from them and that you could join with your data.
Yeah, look, I like the idea of Google Maps because I think what would be really cool there, and I will explore this idea, is like just passing a raw transaction and simply just trying to figure out if a valid location out of that. And I think that would be a good first next step as well, in terms of being able to extract useful information out of it.
Yeah, awesome. That was really, really insightful. Thanks so much, VT. That was awesome. Cool. Let me just go through. So we've done Reynard already. Cool. So we're just going to take a quick little mental break. We are running slightly behind, but it's all good. Okay, cool. So quick little mental break. If you guys want to head over to the Programmable Banking Slack channel and post your best meme or GIF for when an API goes down. We've all been there. We all know what that feels like, either on the API team or on the front end team. So yeah, and the winner will get some awesome swag, and Nick will handle that. So yeah,
awesome swag by Socks, which are very cool. Just to clarify.
And it's coming up to winter now, so Socks are always welcome.
Yeah.
Cool. So over to Nick for some community updates.
I think it's actually over to Shan, who's going to talk to us about what you guys have been doing on the developer experience stuff. So she's got some really cool things that she's been doing with you guys.
Cool. Shan.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks. Cool. I just wanted to give you all a quick update on the sort of developer experience project that we've kicked off with an Investic team, and also with Devon, who's also here tonight. I'm sure most of you know him. If not, you will know him soon. So the goal of the project is to really create a world-class developer experience for those using the Investic products and for everyone in community. And we're looking to really make, onboarding, the use of the API and like support when building as frictionless as possible. This is just sort of a mapped out developer journey that we've kind of gone through all the way from when somebody finds out about programmable banking through to, when they get access, how they get up and running, how they join community, how they start building on the API. And we're looking at some of the specific touch points that we can improve upon there. The ones I just wanted to quickly run through this evening were the Investic Online. So the things that we're looking at there specifically are looking at sort of the flow of navigation to programmable banking. And I know that the Investic team has been working tirelessly on getting sort of self-service activation up and running. So you will no longer have to go and, activate through your private banker. You'll be able to do that all on Investic Online. The other touch point is the developer portal. And there are quite a few things that we're looking at there. So the one is API docs. And this is something that Devin is working on and helping to make improvements to there. There's also a sandbox environment in the works that the Investec team are working on. So we want to include that as part of the portal. So people that don't have an Investec account can, play around and decide if they want to open an account. For the moment, we have Devin's awesome mock API server that you can also use. We're also wanting to bulk up some of the content there when it comes to getting started materials, and also just a general change to the navigation of the page to make it easier to digest and more developer-centric. And then the last sort of touch point is the actual community wiki. If you haven't checked it out, you should check it out now. So we're busy creating some more, or Dom is helping to create some support content there. So we've created an API quick start guide, which you can look at. I'm going to create one for Programmable Card as well. And then some sort of build tutorials as well to help people get up and running and try new projects. We're also then going to be looking at and going through all of the sort of libraries and code that community has created and figuring out which one of those we can showcase on the wiki and keep up to date for everyone. And then Dom has been creating some very cool like sample apps. And the thing with those is to be able to get them up and running quickly in under 5 minutes. And the aim is to really showcase specific elements of a programmable banking product. So we have Budgetify, which is a super simple budget app that sort of highlights the transaction history API and gives you a simple view. And then we have Save It, which Dom has also been working on, which is an awesome treasury management app, almost similar to Reynard's, which also helps you optimize on interest. So that obviously highlights our transfer API. And then there's a couple more in the works that we want to get out as well. And then finally on the wiki navigation, we're just also going to be changing things around to make the resources easier to find. So those changes will be coming out soon. So yeah, we'd love to also get your feedback. I know that some of you have already provided feedback. We have a feedback Investec developer channel on Slack, which I will post here now. So if you guys want to head over there, if you have any feedback, please don't hesitate to just drop it in the channel, and we're collating all of that feedback, and we can see what we can then take on board as well. Cool.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Shan. Cool. And then over to Nick for some feedback and swag giveaway.
Yeah, so this is I like this part of the night because I get to give away stuff, which is awesome because you guys have shared so much tonight, and I'd just like to give some stuff back to you guys. So I'd really love to get your feedback on what did you think about tonight? Well, was it cool? Was it not? How do we make it better? The usual. So I'll pick a super random person. You know how random my randoms are. So I'll pick a random whole person. So we would love to get your feedback. So while you're busy with that, can you just move to the next slide? I'll just quickly talk about the community stuff that we've been doing in the last month. So as Shan's spoken about, we're doing all this development experience, and this is all based on the survey that you guys have been doing, that you guys have filled in, which is really cool. And thank you very much for taking the time on that. I'm busy working on that survey results now. I'll give you a quick glimpse of it on the next slide, but just to tell you that we took that feedback, and as Shan has mentioned, we were running with all of that feedback. And then also there's, just as a reminder, there's the community or bounties. So again, there's some bounties up for grabs. There were some really cool ones that all the guys did last bounty or challenge. This one that's running until Monday is about doing or something for good, so you can win some more stuff there. And then if there's anything that you really want to do, or that you feel that we should do as a community for the next quarter, because the next quarter is all coming up. I cannot believe it's the end of quarter 1 already, but it is. So if there's anything that you would like us to do as a community for quarter 2, please feel free to put into the chat, to put into Slack. Just let me know, and we'll see how we can put that together. Okay, so it can be anything. This is just a quick view. So as soon as I'm done with the report, I will share it with you guys. If you are data sort of people, because there's a lot of data people in the community at the moment. So if you want access to the raw data to see if there's something really in your side poll that we might have missed, please let me know. I'll give you some access to the anonymized data. But just as some highlights from all of this, and this is again what Dom and us and we are working on, and Devin and everyone's all working on, is the stuff that you have mentioned. It's the stuff that you wanted a starter app, you wanted some video tutorials, you wanted some more use cases. So some really great insights that you guys have shared with us. It's really great to see that the most engaged people are the guys who give us the most feedback. So if you know anything about the community, we look at the community as an orbit. I'm not going to get too deep into this, but the engaged guys are really been helping us out a lot. But I'll share everything, of course, with you guys as soon as Shannon and Aretha has checked my typos, because I'm bad with the typos. So yeah, but yeah, cool. Can you go to
Get
the next
Chat GPT to fix your typos?
I should. I think do 4 because 4's smarter. Yeah, I'll do 4. Yeah, cool. And then just one thing, I'd really love to get your feedback on this, because the next meetup is supposed to be in April, and that's our technical roadmap, where Wayne then talks about what they have planned for the quarter. But I checked the calendar, and that's a whole public vacation, so I don't think much people want to have a meetup on a public day. So we have some choices. So we can have it on the 25th or the 26th. Please let me know if any of those days work better for you guys. If you prefer a certain day, a certain time, maybe we do it in the day. I'd really love to get your feedback on any of that. Feel free to put it into the chat. I'll run a poll in Slack also, and I'll make a call next week on what date and time we do it. So Russell's got a thumbs up for the 25th. So that's cool. I also like that day. So yeah, hey, Ruben's also up for that one. So yeah, so getting some good feedback here. So guys, thank you very much for that feedback, and we appreciate that, and we love you guys for that. So yeah, thanks. That's me. Guess it was just ran through everything. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Nick. Cool. So that's sort of like the formal agenda. So huge thank you to everyone who contributed for today's meetup, especially the guys who did the demos. Unfortunately, can never pray too hard enough to the demo gods, but these things happen. So yeah, thanks so much to everyone. Please feel free to stick around. If you guys want to chat about anything, raise anything, yeah, just feel free to stay on. And yeah, thanks to everyone for joining us.
Cool.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Great. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Cool. Thanks, everyone.
I'm going to hop off and record my demo. So
Yeah, we want to see your demo next.
yeah, I figured out the fix. I just got to log back in. So I'll be off.
Cool.
Well, you can hop back on and we'll record it here for you if you want.
We'll see.
Make a video.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
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 Some interesting stuff tonight. Yeah, thanks, guys.